We're having a conversation this morning about President William Ruto's government versus the will of the people. It's as though we are fighting, whereby we should actually be on the same side. And our guest is here. JOAKIM SIMIYU is a governance advisory and policy analysis expert. He's here, although he may have gotten lost. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very fine. Yes.
Where did you go?
A little traffic here and there. And that's what caused my late coming.
You mean you've not bought a chopper yet?
I'm not in this government.
That's what you buy when you see traffic.
Yes.
We do have some minutes though, and we're glad that you've joined us this morning. We're going to get into this conversation. You've heard us talking a little bit about it in terms of what the will of the people is and what a government should be doing to entrench the will of the people and to make sure that that is practiced, and not just but practiced and then implemented. So as we get into the conversation with you, we're going to welcome you with today's proverb. We normally do that, and Dennis is going to share that proverb with you, and we would like to get your interpretation of that before we go through.
Yeah, our proverb of the day comes from Tunisia. Tunisia, which has a population of 12 million people. Their language is Arabic. And important is they gained independence from the French in 1956. And the proverb that comes from Tunisia today is a one-eyed person among the blind is king. A one-eyed person among the blind is king. What do you make of that?
One-eyed person among the blind is king. That a person who looks better in a group of people who are... This person looks at least better than the rest. So that person is considered to be the best among them all.
Because of what you have.
Interesting. In comparison to the others, they don't have eyes, but he has one eye.
Okay. So he can do a little bit better, can't he?
Yes.
All right. The will of the people is, like I said earlier, is something that it finds its way into the supreme law of many a nation around the world. That it is the will of the people, and because of that will of the people, it's taken and it's translated into leadership at whatever level. The will of the people is taken and it's translated into leadership at lower levels, and then going right up to the very top of the person then who leads the country. That the will of the people should be front and center of the doings, of the thinkings, and then of its implementation later on. I want to go quickly into this, that do we see in Kenya that the will of the people is being upheld while governance is taking place?
That's only on paper. But in reality, the will of the people is not being upheld, because the people are looking at what they are doing. The biggest bout of contention is that the people are not seeing the fruits of their labor. The issue is not really about governance. The issue is about money. That the people are working so hard, but at the end of the day, they see the fruit of their labor on the wrist of someone else wearing a watch worth millions. They work so hard, and at the end of the day, they see it on someone else. The fruit of their labor is being taken away by a few people, but they are not gaining anything. So the people, as we speak right now, they are asking the government that what is in it for us? That despite our hard work, despite everything we are doing, we are still finding it very hard to even manage our day-to-day lives. So the government, in a response, the response of the government is so interesting, that when you go out and ask for a right to good education, the answer you get is either a baton, water cannon, or a live bullet. So, as we speak right now, actually, this show wouldn't be there if the will of the people was being upheld. And the uproar out there is about things that the people feel are entitled to, they are not getting. That, for example, they tell you that you need to be given a house, and they deduct money from your salary. And then again go and get a private developer, is given a public land, puts up units that they call affordable, And then at the end of the day, that private developer sells the same units at very exorbitant rates. So you wonder, where is the affordable housing that we are being told?
And one would look at it in terms of the people of the republic as supreme. It is the people of the republic that equally give power to the constitution of the land.
Yes.
And any government that is in place ought to serve the people.
Yes.
But as we see, it seems as though we are in different levels, that those who are considered to be more Kenyans than the others. Does the government of the day, does the leadership of the day care about the people, their feelings, and the need to do right by them?
You can see how they respond to concerns from Kenyans. This is an animal farm where some animals are more equal than others. That the concerns when a Kenyan says this particular thing is not being handled the right way, you can see the arrogance from the people who are in government. They are not even listening and identifying, why do we have this particular issue? And they demonize the one asking. Like they are talking about hatred on social media. And they are thinking about regulating social media. Instead of thinking about what is it that is leading to this hatred? How did we get here? What is it that we can do to get on this on the table with the people and see where we went wrong? Because these people did not just wake up one day and started being hateful towards their leaders. Yeah. It's the actions of the leadership that has prompted the people to actually exercise a lot of hatred towards them.
The government will say that they came in tough times, huge debt. Basically, the light bulbs were blown off, the carpet was removed, and the suffering we are feeling is because of previous governments, and they have no choice than to put in the measures that they have.
When they were campaigning,
yes,
especially President Ruto campaigning, he got the image of someone who knew every problem we were facing. And he had a plan on how to solve the problems. Everything Kenyans are asking for is what he promised. We are not asking for things that cannot be done. When he talks about debt, today they tell us debt is 11 trillion. Yeah. Then we ask, when we borrow this money, what did we do with it? From 2013 up to now, the biggest project we've seen, started and completed, is SGR, which only used 500 billion. So when you come to me and tell me you have a debt of 11 trillion, I will ask you, what did we do with the money? The other day, they wanted us to shout on top of houses and everywhere, congratulating the government for paying 11.6 billion. Yeah. What? Now, we've paid, it's okay. We say thank you. But what did we do with the money? Because when you go back to your house today and your wife tells you, I borrowed this from the shop and we need to pay 1,000, you will want to know what is it that we didn't have that made you go to the shop and borrow things worth 1,000. So accountability. They are telling us about debt sustainability. That's not a problem. The problem is, what did we do with the money we borrowed? So they tell us that they came in when the government, things were tough, there was no money in the public coffers. They didn't tell us how much money was supposed to be there. Maybe it is, they were not supposed to find anything, labda. But they didn't tell us we needed to have this to start. And where is this plan you talked about when you were coming in? You talked about agriculture being given 50 billion in Galana Kulalu. We are not saying it. You talked about giving women 50 billion to assist them in doing their business. We are not saying it. You talked about giving children who are born under the age of 3 years, they are going to be given diapers. We are not saying it. We are only asking for things that you promised us.
Not even beyond what you promised.
Yes.
Essentially, even the things that you said you were going to do, we're not even trying to be, what's the word? We're not even trying to be aspirational.
Yes.
We are just saying the things that you said you would do those ones.
Do those
even.
ones.
All right. The will of the people, is it being subverted? And we shouldn't actually be fighting against each other. We should actually be on the same side. The people and the government actually should be on the same side of the ring and should be fighting other vices. But it looks as though the will of the people and the government seem to be punching up against each other. From the very beginning, if we don't see the will of the people being played out, whether it is in government implementation of projects, whether it is in the proclamations that we hear leaders making, what should we imagine? That they had the will of the people as a priority in the first place? Did they?
Now, talking about the will of the people is only a way of ascending to power. Tell them what they want to hear. Promise them things you want to do. But when you ascend to power, you will have apparatus of violence to protect you. Like, for example, when we talk about security having a problem in the country, they think that we are talking about just ourselves and not them. They think that they are so safe and secure. The other day you saw just a small illustration of how we can have a security problem. If the guy who threw that shoe threw something heavier and more deadlier, we could be having a different conversation today. So when we talk about managing the country better, it is for everyone, not just us. They will also benefit. We saw a situation where a governor goes on abroad in the U.S. on a maternity leave for 5 months. If she cannot trust her own life with the hospital she's managing, then how else does she trust? Should we, the people, trust these hospitals? And health is a devolved unit, which means this governor should be taking very good care of it. And she should actually trust her own life with the services she's providing. But when you ask questions, they say, childbirth is very heavy to a woman. We have millions of women who are left in Nakuru. They don't understand that what we are asking for is good for everyone. And I understand also that this country was formed on a basis like a company. It's based on extraction. It's not based on service delivery. The people are only merely laborers. The idea of forming a country called Kenya started way back, and these problems have not started today. You remember that company that they formed? It's called Imperial African British, EBA. That company, the first civil servants we got were the workers of that company. The first police that we got were the watchmen for that company. And every company all over the world is only interested in profit. And one way of maximizing profit is minimizing input, like getting free labor the way colonialists used to do it. And it is still the same philosophy today. The kind of education we were receiving at that time was only a conveyor belt for laborers. Even today is still the same. We have not even asked ourselves questions. Why are we going to school? What do we intend to achieve by taking people to school? That's why we get universities are churning out graduates, but they have nowhere to go. And the only idea the government comes up with is to sell them to slave trade in the Middle East, being given slave wages. They're being sold to those areas because the government has nothing to offer them here. They have made the situation in their own country so dilapidated that a graduate cannot hope of getting a job here. Anyone who is doing nursing today, when you ask them, what do you want to do after school? They want to get a passport and go work elsewhere. We have not created an environment that is accommodative. We have created an environment that is very corrosive to business. Even if you are innovative, you cannot sustain a business. Cost of production is very high. But when you ask these questions, they tell you, ukiona hii inchi ni mbaya, wewe enda.
Let me ask, because there is SHASHIF, there is new university funding model, there is CBE now, and the government will say, and has said, for example, SHASHIF is an idea to bring Kenya towards universal health care. Okay? I personally think that that's a good idea, right? Where is the mismatch?
It's a good idea, but the intention behind it, anything is only as good as the person bringing it.
Uh-huh.
We cannot have someone who is a stranger to efficiency coming up with a program that is meant to deal with inefficiency. It's a good idea, but they are making it a cash cow. The Auditor General came up with the revelations that every money you pay, there is some 2.5% that goes to some fictitious and phantom pockets. That is my problem. Why should I have my money go into some mysterious pocket?
2.5.
Yes, yes. On every transaction.
Yes.
That tells you how people are buying choppers, because there is a lot of money that is being transacted on that platform. So the ideas they are coming up with, when you look at them, they are very brilliant.
Yes.
But what is the intention? The intention is to milk. I told you, in a company, you only do extraction.
Yes.
They have been extracting our coffee, our sugar. They have now graduated to come into our pockets. They are taking every coin you make. And when you ask them, why are you taking all my money? They tell you, no, we have a debt to pay. Okay, we have a debt to pay. What did we do with it? So we need to first of all rethink how we are going to govern this country. And if they continue like that, I need to give them a warning. I warned this member of parliament who was driving the finance bill last year, Kimani Korea, at KICC, and I told him, if you are going to push this thing through, be ready for very severe repercussions. But he thought I was just making a joke. I had read the moods. And I'm telling them, if they continue like that, there are so many things that have been swept under the carpet for a very long time. And the house is now being, there is some stench that is coming from under the carpet that people in that room are feeling uncomfortable each passing day.
Simiyu, there is the aspect of the projects, as Mark says, they're good. They are really good in terms of the new education curriculum, if it's implemented. Good. If we get healthcare, if it sawa, education funding, if it's implemented, vizuri, a nation that is progressive. But comes the aspect of implementation where everything just seems to be in shambles, and Kenyans are asking for it to be done by them. Do Kenyans really want these so bad?
Yes.
So bad. And why does it seem as though the leadership just doesn't care?
I've been wondering, because everyone looks very good and brilliant before they get into office. I've been thinking, what happens to them?
What happens, Simiyu?
It's the water.
What happens, Simiyu?
What is this? What is this well that is so big that swallows everyone? Then I realized that to some extent we are not really independent as we think. To some extent.
How would you say that?
I was seated in my house watching the day President Ruto was announced as the election winner. And I was thinking, because I had seen there was a travel advisory from the US and Britain that if you are in areas where you think there will be chaos, please get out of it. They mentioned Kibera, they mentioned Nyanza, they mentioned Madare. And one of the areas that there was a big likelihood of chaos was Bomas. But I saw a very prominent American who never left Bomas. A very prominent British who never left Bomas. Then I was wondering, if other citizens of America have been told not to go to areas where they can encounter pelting of stones, why is Meg Whitman at Bomas na kuna mtu anatembea hadi na rungu? Then I realized that maybe the biggest job the American ambassador was there was to make sure that the person they want to be president becomes president. And William Ruto was running for president against the will of the government back here. He talked about the deep state, the system.
Yeah.
But he ended up becoming president.
Yeah.
Which means he had support from something more bigger and stronger than our own deep state and our system. Which means when you assume power, you don't do what you want. You do what people who made you get into that seat want. That's why when we were talking about the finance bill last year, the draconian bill that caused the death of so many young people, they kept on mentioning IMF. Oh, IMF have told us. Why should we depend on IMF to help us come up with fiscal policies if we are really independent? Why do we depend on World Bank's advice for us to come up with policies that are going to help our people? That our taxation mechanism has been advised by IMF. Then how are we really sovereign as a country? So to some extent, I feel like the leadership we have they are caught up in a system that they can't get out of.
But were they forced to get into it? Because when we talk about, sacrificing sovereignty, essentially at the altar of assistance, that's what we're saying. Do we not have a choice in terms of how we can actually do things? Although there are not many, we have examples of how folks have decided that they will do it and do it right.
Yes.
Don't we have a choice to be able to lead, govern, implement correctly?
You can only have a choice and force your way if you don't have any skeletons in your closet. Let me say you have a health problem that can only be solved in London.
Yeah.
Then there are decisions you want to make back here that will disenfranchise bigwigs in London. You will have to listen to them because at the end of the day, you will have to go to London to get medication.
Yeah.
And I think that they use people who are vulnerable. And they want people who cannot offer any meaningful solution. You know, the way we are in Kenya and Africa, to my own opinion, is a necessary state of affairs for prosperity of other parts of the world. I was looking at how Raila Odinga was answering questions at Chatham House.
Yes.
And just even before election, I knew Raila Odinga will not become president, even though I was supporting him. They asked him about how he's going to create employment in this country. He talked about one country, one product. He said every part of our country has something to offer in terms of manufacturing. They have some raw materials. If we harness them well, we can get an industry, and then we will employ people and get. We will be able to do trade and business with other countries. One of the things he talked about is cutting of importation of second-hand clothes.
Yeah.
The other day I was looking at how much money European Union and America gets out of sending second-hand clothes here. So if you cut the importation, the amount of money they are going to lose is huge. So they are going to look for someone who does not offer any meaningful solution to such kind of an issue. Well, President Ruto said he will cure that by making sure that we have a very big and robust opposition.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Yes.
How does the government fix this gap? Because it is to no one's benefit that government is saying A and people are saying Z.
To where we are now,
Yeah.
People have completely lost faith in President William Ruto. I think he has run out of time to do anything that can salvage his presidency. All the people want is someone else. Today, even if he comes up with I don't know what else he can come up with, because he has come up with everything.
Well,
But you see, they say
he's
in
got
politics,
these Chinese loans. He's got, I think, 180 billion to build roads.
But you see, they also say in politics, time is very crucial, because in politics, a day could be a thousand days. You know.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, there is the aspect of, in terms of looking at Kenya as a country, Kenyans would hope that it would be us as a republic against poverty, Kenyans against illiteracy, Kenyans against poor health. But now it is Kenyans against the government.
Yeah.
Because they feel like their fight against poverty is being derailed by government. They feel like it's actually government that is causing poverty.
Is there too much pressure on the government? And I asked this question, not imagining so, but perhaps a different perception is out there. Is there too much pressure on a government to do such, grandiose things at the same time? Here you are, you have to get your politics sorted out. You have to get your infrastructure sorted. You have to send children to school. You have to sort out your roads. You have to pay people. You have to create jobs. I mean, God, they must be feeling the pressure, no?
If pressure is too much, just get out.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We didn't force you to be there. And as I said, we are not asking you to do things you didn't say you're going to do. So whatever you said you're going to do, please do it. Because you told us you have the plan. You told us that the competitors you had at the time didn't have an agenda. It's you who had an agenda. Why then do you seem so agendaless? Then you cannot do everything at the same time. The problem is also, you want to change the funding model. You want to change how we do our health. You want to...
Education?
Yes, you cannot. Why don't you do in a bit and say, hey, look, I've done this. We are done with this. Let us now begin. Kenyans are gracious people. They will listen. But you want to change everything in a record time.
What do you think Kenyans want? And I think it's important for us to look at that we can sit here and say, well, we just want to be able to eat 3 meals a day, want to send our children to school, want to go to hospital when we're sick and be treated. What do you think Kenyans actually do want?
Kenyans just want very simple things. The reason why everyone today seems to know what the government is doing is that, one, we have a lot of people who do not have anything they are doing. They don't have a job. So every day they wake up, there is nowhere they are running to. They are not busy. So all their attention is on the people with jobs. And the people with jobs are the people who are leading government. So I would advise the government that if they want this pressure to go down, let them come up with ways of making people be busy doing something meaningful. And also, it has come to a place where even managing your day-to-day lives, putting a decent meal on the table is an uphill task. I'll give an example where you were a bus driver in the previous regime. You are still a bus driver today. But the things you used to afford at that time, you can't afford them now. Even the number of slices of bread on the table have reduced, and children are wondering, what is it? Then they hear their dad saying, Ruto. So they go back and look, what has Ruto done that has resulted into the reduction of slices on the plate on the table? Then wanaona William Ruto amededuct pesa inaitwa housing levy. Then they see their dad bought land in Kitale a long time ago and built a very good house. They know we don't need a house now. So this money my dad is being deducted is going to waste. Wanaona at the retirement benefits, you need to increase saving. We want to live today. Before we think about tomorrow, can we live today first?
Can we survive? Just a quick question.
Yes.
Hustler Fund. I'm intrigued by it. It came out. Big hullabaloo. It's in the budget every year. It was supposed to change the lives of hustlers. Did that work? Is it Mama Boga accessing 500 bob to go buy stock and pay back in the evening?
to my understanding of how bottom-up and Hustler Fund was to work, it was supposed to be a household economy where you try and come up with ways of making that mama mboga who makes 500 shillings a day, how can she make 1,000?
Yep.
It was not to be something big and ambiguous the way they are bringing it, which makes me think that the people who really came up with this economic model are not the ones who are running it. The idea was taken out of them, and now politicians are running the show. But it was supposed to be not something so big. Household economy. It's not a macroeconomic model. It's micro.
Simiyu, we talk about how Kenyans feel right now is that they do not trust the government that leads them today.
Yes.
And that is a sad place to be in. But how can the government, if there is any miracle that they can do to regain Kenyans' trust, is it even a possibility?
Personally, let me talk about myself. I have never been surprised, even for one single day, by the actions of this government. I expected everything they are doing. Actually, they have not done to my expectation. They
Oh
performed
my
well.
goodness. It's possible that we could be
What do you mean?
You know, you must be coming from somewhere. So when the president was campaigning, President Ruto, I used to go around and ask, before you tell me to vote for William, tell me one thing that Kenyans are proud of, they are enjoying because of the efforts of one William Ruto. No one could answer that question.
I could answer, they brought in the SGR loan.
the loan. Did you say the loan?
Yes, the loan.
Okay.
There's this jar.
Do we have the name William Ruto on that deal?
Okay.
Because I can see the name Wanjigi on the deal, Kibaki. But personally, on William, I don't want to mix a lot of people. The efforts that can make William Ruto stand out, that were it not for William Ruto, we wouldn't be here today. I think he's very ferocious in fighting for things that benefit him. And the day I will be surprised is when he says something and does it. That will surprise me.
Are you saying that of the things that he said he was going to do, that even not one of them has been done?
Like
Or
what?
that you can't
Appointment
find
of judges.
Yeah, in fact, I think he was sworn in the morning,
I was
and in
saying.
the afternoon at State House, he appointed those 6 judges that had been in
Autonomous
contention.
On funds for the police.
I started by saying he does things that he is benefiting directly. I think the swearing in of judges benefits him more than me.
Okay.
I want him to do something that I don't see him benefiting, but the people are benefiting.
Oh my goodness, I wish we had started this exercise before it was 59, But I really, now I'm actually
Like
hard
in 1
pressed.
minute, yes.
I need to find something so that I can prove JOAKIM wrong. Nothing really that benefited the people that has been implemented by William Ruto
Even
since
the
he became
roads?
president.
He withdrew the finance bill 2024.
Yeah.
Well, it was not his will. We actually died for it.
God, oh
Rex Masai is not alive.
But there are roads being built. There's a stadium near a junction that's being built.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay.
Yes, Talanta Hela.
Yes.
What is the initial budget estimate for the stadium?
Sijui.
They talk about 7 billion.
You're not 25?
And is it 25 or 7? But as we speak, it is 44 billion.
Whoa. Okay, that's a good place to end this conversation before we now start
On
getting
that bombshell.
heart attacks. My goodness, JOAKIM SIMIYU. I mean, I think that we need to do a whole other thing where we're looking for things that have actually been done that are benefiting the people. I think it's a bit crazy that we can't find one at this juncture. We want to thank you for being here with us this morning. Thanks for joining in this conversation. The will of the people versus the government. We should actually be on the same side, but we're hard pressed to find that place, and it's why we should continue having conversations like this. If we have to find it, we have to find it.
Yeah.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.